Now, if you are sitting at a desk, either in school or perhaps in a corporate office, or working from home watching this, you might find yourself daydreaming about a career in the NFL. The fame, the money, the adulation. Probably not as a player, because you know there is a pretty significant barrier in terms of the insane athleticism that it requires. But perhaps as a coach, it is still a very well-paid profession in a super competitive field, and all the glory is still out there for the taking. Beyond the laughable notion that an average Joe could waltz into an NFL locker room and coach a team,
and they'll go for it on 4th and 9, and they run a draw, and Chuba's going to get stacked up by Eric Weddle.
There is one other roadblock out there for anyone seeking out an NFL head coaching job, regardless of whether they are qualified or not.
Their quarterback didn't play well this season, and he got worse. And when that's one of the main reasons you were there, and you can't even do that, right, why are we keeping you?
The Houston Texans, on the other hand, well, things are not looking so bright over there. Not in the short term, not in the near future, and not in the long term. There shouldn't be a soul interested in taking this job. Not even Joe from accounting, who has always dreamed about being an NFL coach. The situation has deteriorated that much. The trouble has been brewing in Houston for a few seasons now, and much of it can be traced back to the blind faith that they once had in Bill O'Brien to turn the franchise around like he did at Penn State. And while you can't take away his previous accomplishments, his effectiveness had clearly started to dissipate, largely because he became more and more power-crazed. During his tenure in Houston, O'Brien did compile a 52-48 record, in addition to taking home 4 division titles. But the Texans always sputtered in the postseason and never made an AFC championship game. The Texans were off to an 0-4 start in the 2020 season when the McNair family decided to finally let go of O'Brien. Obviously, it is almost always a complex challenge for a new coach to step into a situation where a guy has been there for a while, but this one is rather unique and will likely present some unprecedented challenges. And the Texans ownership has no one to blame but themselves. Bill O'Brien was in his 7th season as the team's head coach, and the fan base was seemingly growing lukewarm on him. For whatever reason, the team could not get over the hump, despite the plethora of talent that the front office had succeeded in bringing in. So what did the McNairs do? They let Bill O'Brien take over as general manager last January. Let that sink in. You have a coach whose fate is hanging in the balance, and instead of firing him, you promote him to the general manager as well?
Bill O'Brien has Bill Belichick power, but the Marvin Lewis resume. And I have no idea how, and I have no idea why.
And what did he do? Oh, I don't know. Just go all in and start wheeling and dealing, mortgaging the future, because he knows that if he ends up getting fired, none of that will be his problem anyway. Does that sound like it makes any sort of sense?
To trade this dude and don't even get a first-round pick, it's damn near a fireable offense, if not a flat-out one.
And now, all the dysfunction that O'Brien was the catalyst for is snowballed into an unwinnable situation that some poor, unsuspecting new coach will have to deal with. Think about it. Houston is coming off of a 4-12 season, so how might they look to retool their roster ahead of the 2021 season? Maybe the draft? Think again. Because of the win-now trades that O'Brien made while desperately trying to save his job, like the 2019 trade with Miami, the Texans are without a first and second round choice. The deal netted them Pro Bowl left tackle Laramie Tunsil, wide receiver Kenny Stills, and a 4-12 record. Houston did pick up an extra 6th round selection from the Dolphins in that deal, but it came at the cost of not having a single pick until the 3rd round this year. Do you know how lucky they would have to be to get any sort of franchise-changing talent out of those kinds of selections? Just brutal. So what other options do they have to patch up this inferior roster? Free agency? Maybe bring in a couple of big names that can plug up that porous defense? Or an offensive lineman to shore up that tattered front? Well, try again. Because the 2021 projections for the Texans' salary cap situation does not look promising. They have over 40% of their projected salary cap allocated to 5 players, one of which is a running back. And it is not like they have a ton of money coming off of the books organically either. Now, I'm not an economist or a capologist, but man, that does not sound good. And keep in mind, that is without re-signing key players like Will Fuller, who projects to be a sought-after free agent target, even after getting popped for PEDs this year. Keeping a guy like Fuller is crucial for Houston. He has been such a difference maker for the Texans offense throughout his career and deserves at least one more year to prove he can stay on the field more often than not. The former first-round pick was having a career year with Houston in 2022, compiling nearly 900 receiving yards, which was a career high, and 5 100-yard games. While the suspension will undoubtedly lower his ticket price, retaining him still will not be cheap. And because their draft situation is so bad, these issues sort of compound upon one another. as they won't be able to supplement their roster with low-paid talent through the draft. Then there's a cherry on top of this embarrassing situation. That is the deteriorating relationship between the organization and the most important player on the team, Deshaun Watson.
We have a franchise quarterback, which is what we've been looking for years and what every team is looking for in trying to get, and we have him, and we have a very firm belief that Deshaun is our guy.
There's been a discontent bubbling for over a year now, and it looks like it might just be bubbling over. After not consulting with Watson on the decision to ship out his friend and a perennial all-pro wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, the team's ownership, Cal McNair in particular, promised Deshaun that they would at least keep him in the loop regarding the changes that the team was going to make in the general manager's office and with the head coaching vacancy. And being the team first leader that he is, Deshaun consulted his teammates and did some research compiling a short list of candidates that the players would be interested in seeing brought in. There was no guarantee that one of Deshaun's guys would get selected, just that he would be looped in on the process. And what did Houston do? Oh, I don't know. They just went off and hired a new general manager and let Watson find out via social media like every other fan out there. I am sure that there is a lot to running an NFL franchise that I don't fully understand. I get that there is mountains of data, responsibilities, and challenges that I probably wouldn't be able to handle properly. But when you see teams routinely screw up some of the simplest issues, like keeping their word to a highly valued talent, it is truly mind-boggling.
You wasted one of your years. I'm sorry. You should have 11 wins. You should.
And now, whatever new head coach that the Texans bring into the fold will have to try and undo some of the damage that has been done, all the while coaching a limited roster. A roster that has had its potential entirely hamstrung by bad trades and reckless spending. Now, tell me, does that sound like a job that you would be interested in taking? Yeah, that's what I thought. And it's even being reported that, while Watson would like to see Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy come in for an interview, the latter wants no part of the job, according to former NFL tight end Christian Fourier.
I'm hearing that Eric Bieniemy wants nothing to do with that job and would not take that job.
In Houston.
Wants nothing to do with the nonsense that exists over there.
It is too bad, too. Houston has been a fun team to watch with Deshaun at the helm, and it looked like they were starting to build something that might salvage the end of the NFL legend J.J. Watt's career, most of which has been saddled by bad teams through no fault of his own. But it is starting to look like it is the same old Houston Texans. And now that misfortune will be extending to whichever sad sack is desperate enough to roll the dice on taking this head coaching job. A job that will likely do more to hurt a coach's career than help it. Who do you think the Texans will hire as their next head coach? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you're not subscribed yet, then hit that subscribe button down below there too. If you like the video, then like the video. We'd really appreciate it. And until next time, tune into TBS every single day for more cool videos.